Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today I am going to be reacting to a video called Visit Germany, the Don'ts of Visiting Germany. This is from a channel called Walter's World, so check it out. I would assume the don'ts, you have to like really be a strict rule follower because I think that Germans don't like it when you don't follow the rules. So I would advise against that, but I guess we'll find out what other things. So let's check it out and comment, like, and subscribe.
Hey there, fellow travelers. Mark here with Walter's World. Today we're in Munich, and today what we have for you are the don'ts of traveling Germany. Because there's so many things you should do, like visit Munich here, or going to Berlin, or the Harz Mountains. There's so many great things to do here, but there's
beautiful.
a few cultural don'ts you should know, so when you come here, you can have a better time. And the first don't I have for you is don't assume Germans are these cold, unfriendly, uncaring people that we've kind of been taught by stereotypes throughout the years.
Yes.
Germans are actually really wonderful people. They're helpful, they're kind, they're honest, extremely honest. And the thing is, to see that, you need to ask them for your help. Ask them for some guidance, and they'll be glad to help you.
Yeah, of course.
And that's the thing is, some people think, oh, German service isn't very nice. Well, the thing is, German service is very professional. And if you ask them for help, I guarantee they will know the entire background of every meal you have and everything in the shoe store and all kinds of stuff. They'll be able to help you. But don't think that they're these cold-hearted people, because Germans really are super nice. And if you make a German friend, I guarantee they will be with you until the end. They make the best friends ever. So that's the first thing, is don't think they're bad people. Now my second
like good piece of advice: don't go into a country expecting everyone to be bad. But you know, good piece of advice
for you is don't cross against the light. You know, don't jaywalk. Germans really like their rules, and they really don't like people breaking them. And that will mean tourists as well. And one of the biggest things is crossing when...
I would venture to say they probably even like it even less. They don't like it in general, and they probably like it even less when it's tourists, because it shows that you're not really like paying attention to, you know, the rules of the country, or you just don't care, which I think is like even more offensive.
Light is red. They don't like that. I lived multiple years in Germany, 3 years in Germany, and there's been quite a few times where a grandma and Oma stops me and says, hey, bei Rot musst du stehen. By grün lass du gehen, which means by red you stay, by green you're allowed to go.
Thank
that's
you.
one of the things that Germans do like those rules, but the biggest one that a tourist doesn't want to do is don't jaywalk. Also, you can get a fine for that, so heads up on that one.
Well, technically you can get
it. The third tip for you has to do with the Pfand, the deposit. Don't just throw away your bottles, like your big bottles or cans,
in the market,
and don't just leave your Christmas market mugs and stuff like that out, because you have to put a deposit on a lot of these things. For example, if you're at the Christmas markets and you get those cute mugs that everyone loves to get, look, usually you're going to be paying between 3 and 5 euros for the deposit on those mugs, and if you walk off with it, great, you have a cool souvenir. But the thing is, do you really want 8 of the exact same mug? For example, we were here in Munich, and we...
Well, yes, if you live there, you don't want to, but if you're a tourist, you don't really care. I want my mug.
Yeah, Glühwein and
I want to take it home.
The children version of it, and there was 8 of us. So that was 5, 10, 15, 20, 25.
Oh, yeah, of course, there's like more
40
people.
euros
that
of a
too.
deposit. I'm like, whoa! I got to use that 100 euro shine, that 100 euro note that I've never got to use before, just on the deposit. And make sure you're turning those things in. Don't just throw it away, because it actually does add up after a while. So save those.
Yeah, or like if you do it once, like it doesn't really matter. But of course, if you're doing this repeatedly, you probably, if you do the math, like after a year or 6 months, you probably like get. I mean, you're not getting richer, but it's like it's a significant amount of money that you can probably use for something else.
For you is if you're invited to go to a German's house, because you know what, if they like you, they probably will invite you. They are really nice like that. But if you're going to go to their house, don't forget to bring either flowers or wine or candy. Okay, that's kind of a typical thing you bring over there.
Again, a good piece of advice: if someone invites you to their home to like have dinner, to like whatever, it's always like, it's never good to like arrive at their doorstep empty-handed. But it's not just, I guess that's not really a thing that you have to do, but it's polite to do so. I think, like, just bring flowers, a bottle of wine, something. I don't know. Yeah, a box of chocolates. I don't know. It's just like nice. Especially I think flowers are just like the more normal thing that you can just like, I don't know, bring over to someone, because it's like, it's pleasant, it's nice. It doesn't really get like, oh, maybe they don't drink alcohol, or they don't like chocolate. I don't know. Or they don't like candy. Flowers are like, it's good. Everyone appreciates flowers. But again, like as a rule, as a rule, you kind of shouldn't arrive to someone's home like empty-handed. But I know that's just whatever. It's just like about education, culture, and other
Also,
things.
don't wear your shoes inside. When you come in, take your shoes
the
off.
shoes,
Sometimes
yes.
they even have house slippers for you when you get there for
Oh.
their guests. But it's kind of
Okay.
rude to have your shoes on inside the house. So just know that. So make sure you do bring
I
something.
know that a lot of people get offended by this, and I know, but it's a cultural thing. It's not a personal thing of like, hey, your shoes like are dirty. Like, no, it's not that. It's like they're asking you to please remove your shoes.
To their house, if you get to be, if you get really invited to their house, it is really cool. Now, my sixth don't for you is don't wait. Look, whether it's a line or you're ordering food, you don't wait in Germany.
I thought it was like, don't wait to go to Germany. I was like, yeah, sure, go.
Are go, go, go. We are very efficient. We want to get things done. So you're going to be on time for things, all right? Very punctual is important. But for a tourist, when you go to restaurants, what you need to do is when they give you the menu, look in it right away so you can order right away. Because it's not like in the U.S. where they come back every 2 minutes to see us, need anything now. They come when they come. So if you get that chance, make sure you do place your
hurry
order,
up.
get your drinks and your food in and things like that. And when you want to get your bill, you ask for the bill. They'll come right away with their big wallet. Okay?
Oh my God,
and you pay
apples,
them
food.
right
Oh,
there.
this is
And when you pay
delicious.
them, you'll say, let's say it's a 27 euro bill, you will say 30. You just say the total amount you want to pay, and they'll put that down for you. Okay, so then they give you the change back from that. Okay, but don't wait. Like once they see you, they give you a menu. It's time to order. Okay, when they come and ask, because if you wait, you might be waiting a long time.
Unless you don't care
Now,
about
my
waiting.
seventh don't for you is don't experiment on the Autobahn. Okay, I know the Autobahn sounds really cool. Yes, driving without speed limits.
scary.
Look,
No,
I've
it is
driven
scary.
on the Autobahn before.
It's
There's
scary,
a reason why I
right?
go on public transport. It can be really scary.
I knew it,
We're
I knew
going
it.
100 miles an hour, like 140K. We're going, and we're in the right lane because there's BMWs and Mercedes going, and you just see them go by like, wow. And it's kind of dangerous when you're out there, especially if you don't know what you're doing. So please, if you're
Which, as a tourist, I would venture to say, you don't know what you're
not
doing.
comfortable with these fast speeds, make sure you don't experiment on the Autobahn. Stick with the public transport. It will take you everywhere here, which is so awesome about Germany.
I don't know. It's
Now,
kind of like, it's tempting. I guess, like, I would want to go to the Autobahn, but I would also be scared. I think I would be very tempted to, just even once. I would like to drive there.
don't for you is don't
What?
expect to shop on Sundays.
Oh,
Look,
everything's
most of
closed?
Germany is closed on Sundays, except for museums and restaurants. So if you want to do your
Ah,
shopping kind of stuff,
well,
you're here
I
for-
guess it makes sense. Of course, like the museums are open because, of course, it's like it's Sunday. What else are you gonna do? Go to the museum. All the shops are closed. So what? It's like the only place that it's open,
for a
basically.
long weekend, do it on Friday or Saturday because on Sunday, a lot of the stuff is closed. Now, the things that usually tend to be open on Sundays, things that are attached to the train station. So if there's a mall attached to the train station,
Oh.
that'll probably open. Also in December, they'll have Sunday hours a lot of places. But just know, basically on Sunday, everything's basically closed. Also on Mondays, a lot of the museums
That's
are
the
closed.
thing, yeah.
So if you're going to do a long weekend, including that Monday,
Is that a European thing? I think a lot of, or I can't remember if it happens in the US as well, that a lot of like, I don't know why, exactly, it's because on Sundays, like, they want you to go, but a lot of like museums are closed on Mondays, which are a lot of things, a lot of people tend to forget this, and they're like, wait, what? But it's a Monday. It's like, yeah, a lot of things are closed on Monday.
make sure you check and see and say, hey, let's do our tourism stuff on Saturday and Sunday and do our shopping on Monday.
That's
My
exactly
ninth don't
it.
for you is don't forget to have cash.
I hate that.
Yes, they have credit cards, but they prefer cash. Yes,
No,
have your euros ready. There's ATMs all over the place you can use, but you really want to have cash with you because they don't accept credit cards everywhere.
I don't like
A lot of
that.
places they do, and a lot of times you need to have a chip card, for your credit cards and stuff like that for everything to work.
chip
But
card?
just know that
Isn't every card a
cash
chip card?
is king here in Germany, so don't forget to keep some with you, just so you have it. And my 10th don't for you with coming to Germany is realize that you don't just see half-tempered houses here. Germany is not just the stereotype of
Well,
half-tempered
a lot of
houses
them
and
are.
beer halls. There's so much more to Germany.
Not all
Whether
of
you're
them.
going to Berlin, where they have the Potsdamer Platz and all this new stuff there, or you're here in Munich, where the tech stuff is booming, or Hamburg, which is a rebuilt city. I mean, you have all these cool modern cities here in Germany, and it's not just half-timbered houses. And the thing is, you can see the half-timbered houses, Quedlinburg and Wernigerode and Goslar and the Harz Mountains. Oh, my heart just falls in love with that place. Here in Bavaria, go to Regensburg and
A lot of
Bamberg,
places.
Oberammergau. You can get that old Germany, but also you have very modern Germany as well. So make sure you explore both sides. Don't just try to think it's going to be half-timbered houses, but experiment all the wonders of Germany. Anyway, I hope this helps you out to have a better time when you are here in Germany. If you have other don'ts about German culture, please put it in the comment section below so we can have more help for our awesome travelers. It looks like things are picking up here in Munich in the morning, so I'm going to take off and I'll say Auf Wiedersehen, or until we see each other again here at Wolters World. Bye from Munich. Oh, if you want to see more videos like this, don't videos, 10 things that'll shock you about different places, check us out on our website at woltersworld.com. We're also on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. We really appreciate your likes, subscriptions, and if you subscribe to our YouTube channel, you'll get new travel videos like this twice a week from all over the world. So I'll say, again, Auf Wiedersehen. See, we saw each other again from Munich. Tschüss. Bye.
Yeah, I think it was a great video. I think a lot of great pieces of advice. I was thinking, like, it's really funny because it basically, I think, a lot of boils down to, like, being a respectful tourist and just being respectful and mindful about where you're going. I don't think you should be, it's because I think when you are a tourist, I think a lot, and I guess not everyone, but I think sometimes you get the sense of, because you're obviously, you're visiting this new country, and you feel like a lot of the rules don't apply, basically, because you're in this like fantasy world where like, oh, nothing feels real because you're sort of separated from your normal daily routine and your daily life. So I think sometimes people get, sometimes things that you probably wouldn't do in your daily life, in your country. Like when you're a tourist, I think sometimes people just tend to forget about those things, and they just like go, yes, it's it's wild over here, like there are no rules. And it's like, no, I mean there are rules, of course. Like these people, like they have their own country, have their own rules. But I think like people and tourists sometimes tend to forget a little bit of that. So I feel they throw everything out of the window, and it's more like that's why you get like a lot of tourists and you people, and sometimes like you feel, oh, like everything should be catered to me because I am visiting this place. And of course it shouldn't be like that, because of course the residents and people from said country are going to hate you, because again, it's not really polite. But again, it's sort of like tourist disease, tourist brain, which I guess, sometimes, again, I'm not saying that always occurs, but I think sometimes it occurs and people have like that mindset, which of course is something that you really shouldn't have. Because, yes, great that you're visiting another place, but still, the rules of decorum and the rules of society, like, are still being maintained, basically. So it's obviously, and again, it's always, the rules of human decency, like, they still apply. But also, of course, because you're in another place, it's always a good idea. Again, I'm not saying like, oh, you should become, a lawyer and you should know every single rule about the country that you're visiting, that in which you're staying for 3 weeks. No, of course not. But I think it's important to kind of get a general idea and a general sense of what kind of things are what kind of things you can do there, what kind of things are forbidden, frowned upon. Because it shows, I think, interest. It shows that, it shows an interest is also because, again, if you're traveling somewhere new, it's not just about visiting like the cool places, which of course, like everyone wants to see, and you want to check out, and you want to have like a bunch of activities, and you want to experience like that city or that country. But also, I think traveling and being a tourist and visiting another place is also about like knowing and understanding how other people live, and also abiding by the rules, because again, you're a visitor there, and it shows like good faith on your behalf of, oh, I'm trying to learn how things are done there, and I'm not being upset about like, oh, I have to take off my shoes. No, absolutely not. Or, oh, stores are closed on Sundays. No, why? No, I mean, it's like, oh, okay, so that's how they do things over here. And also, again, like the jaywalking, oh, but it's not a big deal. Yeah, well, for them it is. So you shouldn't really do that. Technically, you shouldn't do this, nowhere. But again, some people are a little bit, and in some places are a little bit more lax about this. So I think more people just kind of do, oh, but it's jaywalking, like, who cares? No, it is a pretty big deal in some places, like, for instance, Germany. And also, you don't really want, because again, if you have like a pleasant vacation and a pleasant, the most possible, like the most pleasant experience ever, you don't want locals to be like thinking bad things about you, or you don't want them to, again, like to like say things to you. You want to, because whether the alternative between being, like a bad tourist and people, making discipline you, and then don't discipline me, like I know what I'm doing and all of that. I mean, like, it's easier to just, like, it's easier to just be a good citizen, basically, again, because the alternative, and you're getting more friends like that. I think it also, again, because you're showing, like, good faith, I think people are going to be a little bit friendlier towards you, and they'll be a little bit more, like, oh, you actually took some time to, like, do some research and to understand how things are being done here. So I think people are going to maybe like you a little bit more, and they're going to be thinking a little bit like more of you, maybe, in a way. So they're not going to be, you're not giving tourists a bad reputation. I think just as a general rule, you also, again, why be a bad person if you can be a good person? Like, it's easier. And also, you don't want to be the person that gives, tourists a bad reputation in one city. You don't want them to be like, like, tourists like you are the reason why we don't like you. No, like, that's who wants that? Who wants to be the poster child for being like a bad person? Like, no, nobody wants that. So it's like all good pieces of advice. I think it's really, obviously, again, it shows for like, don't be disrespectful and follow, all the rules and all of that. The deposit one is really funny to me, because that's a thing that I believe it's only, I don't know if it's a German thing specifically. I think it is, actually. Maybe some other countries in Europe do this as well. But it's just like a very European thing. I think, like, in the United States, that's not really something, like, that's not really that common. And by common, I think it's just like very uncommon. I think it's because either in the US things are like disposable, or they just don't care, and it's like, oh, it belongs to you. I don't do like outright buy things. It's like in two extremes. Either like everything's disposable, so like who cares, or it's it's a little bit more expensive, but like, oh, it's yours forever. I don't know. They don't really give you a choice. It's like it's either like the cheapest disposable option, or again, it's like the fancy version that you have to spend more. But you don't, again, it's not because it's not that much of a sustainable culture, or like a let's recycle culture, or even like it's a less efficient culture, I think. And in Germany, of course, it's not really a thing. Everything's efficient. They're more sustainable. They don't like waste. So I think the whole concept of the deposit that's everywhere in Germany, I think that's such a German thing. It's like, oh yeah, I can see why they do this, but I think that's a huge, like, oh yeah, I forgot, like, they do things over there like that. The other, it's of course the whole stereotype, which I think it's bad to, like, to presume things about other people, especially, again, as a general rule, that's bad. But to assume one single thing about all the citizens in one country, like, that's even, I think it's a little bit worse. It's like, who likes that? Of course not. You don't really like, again, let's put in the example of, like, if you're American, you wouldn't like Europeans being all like, oh, you're from the United States, must be like, must be dumb. No, of course, like, you wouldn't like people like telling that to you. So, like, why wouldn't you assume that, oh, all Germans are like very, like, they're so unkind, they're like not friendly at all. They're very, I think it's just, because I mentioned that, yes, they're very, like, strict rule followers, which I don't think, that's, I think, an opposite or a very different thing from being, like, oh, unfriendly and unkind. No, it just means that they're strict about their rules, because that's how society works over there. But it doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to ask one question, they're going to be like, wow, they'll slap you in the face because, no, why are you asking? No, of course not. So it's just, you wouldn't really have to go, and you wouldn't think, oh, these people are, like, so cold, so unfriendly, like, I'm scared of asking things. No, because, again, the opposite also applies. Imagine how it would feel if someone tells to you, and someone like, oh, I'm scared of, like, approaching this person because I've heard that they are, Americans are whatever. What would I ask them? I hear they're dumb. Like, no, of course not. You wouldn't really like that, right? So it's like, walk 3 miles. No, they don't really walk anywhere. No, it's like they're super out of shape. I don't know, like something like that. Again, the stereotype, like, is not really a good thing, whatever, in whichever country. So again, you have to really, I think, start from the principle of don't treat others as you wouldn't like to be treated, basically. So in the same way that you wouldn't like things and people assuming things about you, like you wouldn't assume things about other people. Especially, again, just paint all Germans with like one brushstroke and be, oh, they're cold, they're unfriendly, I'm scared of like approaching them. No, it's really, again, I think you can get this sense of that just because they're like strict rule followers. It's like, no, I mean, that is what that one thing doesn't really have anything to do with the other. Like, you can be the most friendly person in the world, the warmest person ever, and that doesn't mean that you have to be like lax about norms and rules. Like, they're not like opposite sides of the coin. They are completely different things, so they're completely separate. So I don't know why people assume that all Germans are, they're like, oh, you're never gonna make any friends there because people are just going to, like, you ask them something or you approach, you try to have like one conversation, or again, just like ask them something as a tourist and they're gonna like to look at you weird, and then like they'll turn right back and they'll leave you standing there. No, of course not. Well, sometimes maybe yes, but yes as well. Like, unkind people and cold people and unfriendly people, like, you can find those basically everywhere in the world. So it's not necessarily like a German thing. It's like, yes, but again, you shouldn't really assume anything about people in general. Again, good piece of advice. But that was it for today, and I'll see you next time. Bye!